Okay, I call the meeting of May 11th, 2021 to order, if I may, please. And by a quick review here and consultation with our parliamentarian and my legal counsel, it appears that there is a physical quorum. So as I call the meeting to order, I do point out that a physical quorum of the members present, they are physically present here. I will entertain a motion to permit those members not physically present due to the coronavirus to participate by video or teleconference. So I can entertain that motion right now, a motion and a second. We take a voice roll call, a voice vote. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll? Voice vote? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. So we would gladly permit those members not physically present to participate via video and teleconference. So with that, I've called the meeting to order. I will ask one of the board members to lead us in the pledge. Why don't we do member DC, Annie? How about that? So if you would be kind enough to remain standing, I have with us today, I believe, Pastor Brian Park from the Restoration Community Church in Naperville is here to lead us in invocation. Pastor Park.
My name is Brian Park, and I just want to say I'm honored to be here. I very much consider DuPage County to be my home. I grew up here. I went to public schools here my whole life, and I'm now thankful to be able to raise a family here and pastor a church here. My kids are all in public schools. My wife's a public school teacher, so I know from my experience as a longtime DuPage County resident that your work is so good and so important, and I just want to say on a personal note, I appreciate you all, and I'm honored to be able to deliver today's invocation, especially on this Asian American Pacific Island Heritage Month. So let's pray. Lord God, I thank you for these board members who have been entrusted with the vital task of governing and making decisions on behalf of the people of DuPage County. Their calling is a holy one because you have appointed the civil government to provide justice and to maintain peace for the flourishing of your people. Their task is also a challenging one, not only because of this ongoing pandemic, but also due to the deeply divided political climate that we all find ourselves in. And so I thank you for their willingness to continue in this role of servant leadership for such a time as this. And I ask that you would grant to each of them wisdom and humility as they weigh the many factors for each issue that will be discussed and even decided today. I pray that they will be especially mindful of the most vulnerable and marginalized members of our communities, those who lack the means or the access or even the knowledge to be able to speak for themselves. Lord, I also pray for your protection over each of these board members and their loved ones as they carry out their civic duty of servant leadership throughout today. I commit these friends to your care, and I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Pastor Park. That was awesome. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Chaplin. Here.
Chavez.
Here.
Covert.
Here.
Desart.
Here.
DeCiani. Here. Eckhoff. Garcia. Hart. Krajewski.
Here.
LaPlante. Ozog.
Here.
Pachowski. Renahan. Rutledge.
Here.
Schwarzy.
Here.
Selman. Tornatore.
Here.
And Zay.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. On the order of Chairman's report, we have a couple of proclamations, and then we have our Executive Director from the Health Department here to give us an update on the COVID-19. First and foremost, we begin with a proclamation declaring May as Asian American Pacific Islander Month here in DuPage County. This is something that Vice Chair Ashley Selman and I discussed and felt strongly about, and I followed her leadership. It's important to convey our county board's support for the Asian American community in light of the violence and hostility members have faced in the past year. And of course, most tragically in March with the deaths of Asian Americans who worked near Atlanta. Today, we are fortunate to be joined by two really impressive leaders as we convey our support. We have Sophia Liu, one of our community partners from Shi Lin Association, is here and has joined us. And we are also joined by a very prominent leader and citizen of DuPage County who's made enormous contributions to the community for many years, Nancy Chen of Naperville, who was the first Asian American to head a U.S. Senate office when she was appointed director of Senator Paul Simon's Chicago office in 1991. And I remember that. I was in the legislature at that time. She served as Director of Asian American Outreach at the White House Office of Presidential Personnel in 1997. And after further distinguished federal service in the Department of Labor, she retired in 2010 and now serves on the Executive Council of the Illinois AARP and on the State Council on Aging. I'll ask Ms. Chen and Ms. Liu to share a few thoughts after I read this proclamation, if I may, please. So with that, proclamation goes as follows. Whereas Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month is observed during the month of May to recognize and celebrate the history, culture, achievements, and contributions of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders to the United States. And whereas the month of May was chosen to commemorate the immigration of the first Japanese residents to the United States in May 1843. And to mark the anniversary of the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad in May 1869, a majority of which had tracks laid by Chinese immigrants. And whereas Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are one of the fastest growing ethnic populations in the nation and represent 12.8% of the population right here in DuPage County. And whereas DuPage County celebrates and pays tribute to the contributions that generations of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have made and continue to make to our society, our history, our culture, communities, making them more vibrant and prosperous. And whereas diversity represents one of our greatest strengths, and by supporting and recognizing the contributions and accomplishments of Asian American and Pacific Islander men and women, DuPage County celebrates the importance of inclusion as we build a brighter future for our residents. And whereas DuPage County is proud to celebrate Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month and to commemorate the essential contributions, the sacrifices, and the accomplishments that Asian American and Pacific Islanders have made. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Daniel J. Cronin, Chairman of the Board, members of the County Board, do hereby proclaim May 2021 as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month and celebrate the culture, traditions, and history of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. I'll entertain a motion. Seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Enacted this 11th day of May 2021. And I'd like to ask our honored guests if they'd be kind enough to come up here, and I'll kind of move a little bit out of the way here. I'd like to remask, so we'll be very safe. And I'm going to deliver this to you. I'm going to leave it right here. How about that? And then I'm going to exit stage left. And then please share a few thoughts with us.
Okay, we'll remove the mask. Thank you very much, Chairman Cronin, and thank you very much for all the DuPage County board members, those of who are present and those who are remote. I'm Nancy Chen again, And I am very honored to be a representative from the Asian American community to receive the proclamation in honor of the Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. I have been a DuPage resident for 50 years, maybe before some of you were born. The Asian American community has come a long way since the 70s, when we were just a very small fraction of the population. I remember that in celebration of the very first Asian American Heritage Week in 1979, declared by the White House, that I organized a cultural exhibit in Naperville just to commemorate the occasion and to bring awareness with just a handful of Chinese American families in those days. So today, 13% of the DuPage residents are Asian Americans who call the county their home. Asian Americans are proud to have contributed to the dynamic growth of the DuPage County in virtually every field: education, businesses, economic, science, and technology. And our diverse cultures have enriched the county, making it one of the most prosperous counties in the nation. This has been a very difficult year for Asian Americans, and especially for Chinese Americans. In Illinois and across the nation, anti-Asian violence and hate have doubled, tripled to increase by 150% in the past year. So your support and recognition of our community is greatly appreciated. And like all residents in this county, we are Americans, and we belong here. So I look forward to working with you and to stop hate and violence. Again, thank you very much. And I join my colleague, Sophia Lowe, and also Pastor Brian Park. You know, I'm really glad that we are all here, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, DuPage County, for having us today. I didn't know that I was supposed to deliver a speech, so I didn't even prepare, but I'll just improv. Thank you, Nancy. She basically said everything that I wanted to say, but I want to add that on behalf of our organization, Schilling Association, which has been here headquartered in DuPage County since 1989. I thank you. Thank you all for years of support, and thank DuPage County Health Department specifically during the COVID-19 and supported us tremendously. We were able to organize vaccine clinic in our center, which helped hundreds of people. So I feel very, very lucky to be able to work with you. I was born and raised in China in a city called Chongqing that most people don't know about. If you Google it, it actually has 36 million people. So I believe it's probably one of the big cities on earth. So I immigrated to the United States in 2008. And ever since after I became an American citizen, I started traveling back and forth between US and China. So as of today, I moved back to Naperville, DuPage in 2016. So I've been settling here for 5 years now. And I met my husband here, and I got married here in DuPage County. So this is my home. And thank you so much. It's an honor. Thank you. Thank you all. So I look forward to working with you, and thank you again for your incredible love and support. Thanks.
Really enjoyed it. That was so sweet. Can we take a quick photo? Okay. Oh, that's nice. Want to be
谢谢. That's Mandarin.
26?
Thank you.
How many? 26 million? 36?
36.
Oh my God. You think Chicago's big. Thank you. Thanks so much. It was such an honor to have you today. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Don't forget your proclamation now. Okay. So I'd like to invite Member Tornatore. Sam is here to join me at an appropriate distance. Paula Deacon Garcia, Member Garcia, please. Karen Ayala and Lori Carnahan to the podium, if you don't mind. Oh, I'm sorry. We did yes. So in February, I received a really nice note from Member Paula Deacon Garcia expressing her interest in serving as an advocate for people battling mental illness. And as she described her passion she had for the issue, I knew I would, of course, work with her and the Health Department Executive Director Karen Ayala and Board President Sam Tornatore in recognizing May as Mental Health Awareness Month. But as I conferred with Sam, we concluded that Member Garcia would bring this knowledge and make a positive contribution as a member of the DuPage County Board of Health. I have long thought that one of our most appealing and compelling features about our public health commitment in this county is our commitment to behavioral health and mental health. And so we know that mental health treatment is a fundamental need in our society, and the demand for these services is growing. And we know it's particularly pronounced right now during this pandemic. Our Curzowa Community Center was built with the mental health needs of our county first and foremost in mind. With our Board of Health, we will continue to provide services to people who need them most while breaking down the stigma that still exists, often preventing people who need them most. The stigma kind of gets in the way. So after I read the proclamation, I'd like to ask Member Deacon Garcia and Sam and Karen to say a few words. So the proclamation goes as follows. Whereas mental health is part of overall health, absolutely part of overall health, and helps us sustain an individual's thought processes, relationships. Oh, and I'm sorry, we also have another guest here, Lori Carnahan. Forgive me. So we want to make sure that we include you, and I'd like to invite you to say a few words too, please. Whereas mental health is part of overall health and helps to sustain an individual's thought processes, relationships, productivity, ability to adapt to change or face adversity. And whereas mental illness adversely affects those abilities and often is life-threatening in nature. Whereas 1 in 5 Americans has a mental health condition, and just 40% of Illinois residents with a mental health condition received medical treatment within the past year. I mean, 60% are not receiving treatment. Whereas long delays, sometimes decades, often occur between the time symptoms first appear and when individuals get help. And whereas early identification and treatment can make a profound difference in successful management of mental illness and recovery. Whereas it is important to maintain mental health and learn the symptoms of mental illness to get help when it is needed. And whereas every resident and community can make a difference in helping end the silence and stigma that for too long has surrounded mental illness and discouraged people from getting help. And whereas public education and civic activities can encourage mental health and help improve the lives of individuals and families affected by mental illness. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Daniel J. Cronin, Chairman of the County Board, members of the County Board, do hereby proclaim May 2021 as Mental Health Awareness Month, and to increase public understanding of the importance of mental health and to promote identification and treatment of mental illnesses. I'll entertain a motion. Seconded. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Approve this 11th day of May 2021. Member Deacon Garcia, would you accept this? And I invite you to please share a few thoughts and let's, yes, please. We have a number of experts here. Okay. Turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I really appreciate it. I'm very, very thrilled that we're doing a Mental Health Awareness Month proclamation. 1 in 4 people live with mental illness. It is not a choice. They are not faking. They are not looking for attention. Just like people with all types of invisible illnesses like heart disease, diabetes, epilepsy, autoimmune disorders, and even cancer. People with mental illnesses are finding ways to live productive, happy lives. People with mental health issues are trying to live lives without pain, isolation, and fear. People can help by helping people talk about their illness. End the stigma by not being afraid to be a friend to those you see who are struggling. Help them to reach people who can help, like the DuPage County Behavioral Services and the Health Department and even NAMI. The more people feel less judged and more loved, the less they will turn to ways that are unhealthy to deal with their pain. Thank you, Chairman Cronin, County Board members, DuPage Health Department, especially Behavioral Services, for being supportive. And to those struggling, please know we are working diligently to find ways to help. Thank you.
Thanks so much for this recognition today. Not only was it our forefathers and mothers who in the 1960s determined that it was an important criteria to weave in funding for mental health into the public health system, but for everyone who has come since that time, who has allowed us to build what is essentially one of the largest mental health and most comprehensive mental health, behavioral health systems of care that exists in the state. And it wouldn't be possible without the leadership, and certainly you've seen examples of, stellar leadership from other members of the DuPage County Health Department around the mitigation and the response to COVID-19. I want to tell you that we have that same level of leadership in our behavioral health services as well. And so it's my distinct pleasure to introduce to many of you for the first time, Lori Carnahan, who operates, oversees, and administers our behavioral health services. Lori?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much to the chairman and to the board for this proclamation. I'm Lori Carnahan. I'm the Director of Behavioral Health at the Health Department. I'm so passionate about getting the word out there for mental health services, and I think this year, more than any year, everybody has been impacted at some level with some mental health symptoms. And it's so important to be able to get the word out there and to spread, all of the education that there are services, there's help, there's availability of resources. So I think this is just an excellent way to show that. I'm so proud of the services offered at the Health Department and the wide array of services that we provide for behavioral health services. And this month just kind of enhances that and really gets the word out there, that we're here, but there's lots of support, here in the county. We're part of a lot of things that are even bigger than that, National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, lots of different resources that have really expanded outside of the county as well. So thank you very much for the proclamation, and we look forward to continuing to work with you.
Very nice. Thank you. Someday I'll get to see these pictures. Might as well get ready to take a spot right here. So moving along on the order of Chairman's report, we do have Karen here with us today, who's joining Sam and all of us for our update about COVID-19. As you know, we did make a really bold statement not long ago, and then it seemed like other people made a bold statement right after we made a bold statement. But we came out first and said that by July 1st, we expect that we will have 80% of the eligible population vaccinated, fully vaccinated here in DuPage County. Karen and I both felt that it was important to offer some very specific measure of hope and optimism, because Lord knows this experience with this pandemic has been just so painful, and one negative news report after another. We thought it's finally high time to start talking about our successes and what the end of this pandemic looks like. And so with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Karen, who again, I have to just always say, because I'm just continually so impressed with your leadership and the count. We're so blessed here in the county to have DuPage County Health Department and the team that you've assembled under your leadership. So Karen, please proceed.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I didn't mention about Lori is not only does she oversee our all of our behavioral health services, but over the summer she was also queen of our testing site, right? So she operated that on a 7-day-a-week basis too. So certainly a great team player and a fabulous and effective leader. So you'll see with this presentation that not only have we changed the logo, but we've also changed kind of to reflect what the chairman was just speaking of, a sense of optimism and hope. This really is our shot, DuPage, to move beyond this pandemic and the havoc that's been wreaked across individuals, families, neighborhoods, communities, and the entire county. So today I'm going to provide a quick update for you on where we're at and our next steps. If we could go to the next slide. Today, actually yesterday, as of May 10th, we are at over 50% of eligible DuPage County residents who have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Thanks. And as good as that feels standing here in front of you today, it is very clearly not the work of one department, not the work of one sector, but the community coming together as it has always done to say in DuPage County, we support health, and we want all of our residents to achieve high levels of health. You will see that our bold and some believe unattainable, but we think otherwise, goal is to get 80% of eligible population vaccinated by July 1. With the addition, and I'll talk a little bit about that, of the 12 to 15-year-olds by later this week in this eligible population, the number will grow. And so our percentage will shift lower slightly in the short term until we're able to reach that population. But clearly a very, very significant effort. We are also leading the way across the state. So we have for most of the time a vaccine has been available, we've been leading the collar counties in the rate of vaccination of total population. So this, as opposed to the eligible population, this reflects the total population. So we have a significant amount of our population, primarily individuals right now, 15 and below, who are not eligible for the vaccine, right? So if we include those individuals, we're at a little over 40% vaccinated. We now lead the entire state as far as a county with our vaccine efforts. But we can't just sit there, right? Because efforts need to continue. So you'll see on this slide, our 7-day rolling average continues to be strong. But clearly, we're seeing reduced numbers of registrations and participation in our mass vaccination clinics. Our mass vaccination clinics, and we've left postcards at your desk, and there's extras in the county board office for you to really promote the idea that now our mass vax clinic, you don't have to register, you don't have to have an appointment, you simply have to show up. Now that registration will help facilitate and will get you in and through more quickly. So even if you want to do it in your car before you go into the facility to get your vaccine, that will help, but you don't need to. In addition, starting this week, we are expanding our hours and will offer evening hours on Thursday evenings. Another way to try to extend into populations who are interested in vaccinations but have not had them available. But we know that we're going to need to shift, and the days of getting 2,000 people through our mass vaccination clinic are over. So we know we need to focus on more mobile, strategic efforts and outreaches. And that's another flyer that you have in front of you talking about mobile clinics. So you've heard recently, I hope, about our homebound, our efforts to reach homebound individuals. That's been a combination of our staff, pharmacies, healthcare providers, as well as the most recent ad of our fabulous EMS paramedics. The yield is small. We're not getting to hundreds of people through this program. However, these are some of the most potentially vulnerable population as they have people coming in and out of their homes. We also are pivoting our mass vaccination clinic and staff to reflect a growing need to reach out to the community for community-based clinics. We really want to promote this. So as you're going around and talking to your residents and in your community, we would be happy to schedule a clinic at some place in the community. We've been partnering with municipalities, the DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau, individual businesses, and we continue our work and partnership on health equity through our community organizations. But you can easily have members of the DuPage County Health Department staff come out and provide those on site. So we saw, Chicago was doing that with some of their large business offices. We can do the same thing and have done the same thing. So, for instance, we went to a landscaping company and vaccinated their staff. We went to a car dealership and vaccinated their staff. We've heard about banks who, a lot of times their staff, their teller staff is working all of the hours that our mass vac site is open. So we know we need to do that, and we're very happy to do that. And would appreciate, there's a link on the bottom of that flyer that people can register for for having a mobile clinic come out. We also, last evening, and we thought it was coming up actually tomorrow, but last evening the FDA announced, next slide, that they're approving the vaccine for use in the 12 to 15-year-old age group. Now, immediately we started getting calls about parents wanting to bring their kids in today. It doesn't happen quite that fast. It is quick, though. It's very quick compared to what it used to be. But we're actually waiting for the CDC and the ACIP for their meeting tomorrow. We understand it will be discussed late afternoon tomorrow to come up with clinical recommendations as they review and adopt, the CDC reviews and adopts the ACIP recommendations. So the COVID vaccine clinical trials in adolescents 12 to 15 demonstrate the 100% efficacy and robust antibody responses, exceeding those reported in the trial of the vaccinated 16 to 24-year-old participants in earlier analysis. We know that this is going to be critical in getting and keeping our schools operational without the disruption that we've seen over the last 2 years. So again, anything that you can do to promote this valuable vaccine. We also are making sure that not only do our mass vaccination clinics have that, because some parents may want to have a one-on-one conversation with their child's physician or medical provider. So we've been working with our healthcare systems to make sure that they have it accessible there as well. Finally, I just want to point out that once again, we have our vaccine champions. We've continued with our PSA development, our public service development, and I'd just like to take 30 seconds of your time to share one of these. Again, these are posted on our website, but you can download them and attach them to any of your social media as well. And so I'd like to share the words of Diana Martinez. Thank you.
COVID-19 has threatened the health and well-being of our loved ones. But now there's a safe and effective vaccine to help protect us all. We all have a collective responsibility to protect our parents, children, and community by getting the COVID-19 vaccine as soon as it's our turn. This is our shot, DuPage. The sooner we get vaccinated, the sooner we can get back to the people and the places we love.
And again, many of these are in other languages. So I believe she also recorded this in Spanish. Dr. Asfar recorded in Urdu. There is then the community health worker from DuPage Health Coalition who also did a Spanish recording for us. So please use those widely and whenever possible. The final slide is other information that we have posted. Again, we know it's been overwhelming, the amount of information and unfortunately the amount of misinformation. So not only do we have information posted on our website, but I shared with you because most recently, we've been getting a lot of push back and questions about continued masking and the need for continued face coverings. So we provided you at your seats today a CDC scientific brief to address those concerns. Many people are questioning whether the CDC is using evidence-based scientific studies to model their practices, and of course they always have and will always continue to do that. So we wanted to put that in your hands as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen. The last item under the order of Chairman's report is Chairman's remarks, and just a quick thought, please. As we emerge from the pandemic and keep our families healthy, we are just as mindful of our need to help families recover from the economic impact of this pandemic. We know that during this past year, many folks have experienced financial hardship. And for many folks, that financial hardship has been an experience where they have fallen behind on their rent. Starting Monday, we are kicking off a rental assistance program, which we've been collaborating about and working on for some time. This rental assistance program benefits eligible DuPage residents who are behind on their rent due to COVID-19. Those who apply and qualify may receive up to $25,000 in emergency rental assistance. We are working with the Illinois Housing Development Authority, or IDA. We're very fortunate that we have expertise on our county board in that member Sam Tornatore serves on that board of the Illinois Housing Development Authority. And we have had multiple conversations, discussions, collaborative efforts with IDA, and we have a very good understanding about how this program is going to progress. The point of it is, of course, to help qualifying DuPage households receive up to 15 months assistance for payments from June of 2020 up through August of 2021. Tenants must work with landlords to apply for the program, as grants are paid directly to the housing provider. Starting today, you can visit our website at dupageco.org/rental payment program to learn more about the documentation you'll need to apply. Get that paperwork together, talk to your landlord. Starting Monday, the application window on the state portal opens. That's Monday, May 17th at www.irppihda.org. It's lots of information, I know, but it's all there on our website and IDA website. And as always, any DuPage resident with questions about rental assistance or who needs help in paying not only their rental bills but their utility bills, they can please call 630-407-6500, and our intake and referral team will guide you. Thanks to our IDA Board Representative Sam Tornatore again for his assistance on this and service at IDA at this very important time. So that concludes my remarks. That concludes the chairman's report. We move on to the order of business entitled Public Comment. And
We have one online public comment submission.
okie dokie.
The public comment is from David Dorn of Chicago, representing AFSCME Council 31. Subject is DuPage County Care Center employees, heroes deserve fair pay and fair contract. Comments: my name is David Dorn, and I'm the new AFSCME staff representative for your hardworking AFSCME bargaining unit members at the DuPage County Care Center. I look forward to meeting and working with you. As the group's new representative, I've been speaking with employees of the Care Center and have quickly learned the following to be true. Throughout the pandemic, Care Center employees have worked tirelessly to provide quality care during difficult, dangerous, and uncertain times. In the face of low staffing levels, reductions in funding, and challenging conditions, AFSCME members working at the Care Center have remained passionate about their commitment to serving their community during this unprecedented public health crisis and beyond. Despite this commitment, the staff has gone years without a permanent wage increase, and a recent 2% increase meant to address the hazards of working during the pandemic was stopped at the end of March without being renewed. Despite 3 years of negotiations, the group remains without a fair union contract. As your employees enter the Care Center, they pass signs that say, "Heroes work here," yet some struggle to make ends meet and support their families. Heroes deserve to be treated and compensated fairly. Paying staff fairly will not only reward those that have given so much of themselves to DuPage County, but also help the county attract and retain talented and caring staff. I urge the county board to immediately approve the continuation of the 2% pandemic wage increase and to settle a fair union contract with the Care Center employees. That concludes the public comment.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Clerk. That concludes our public comment. We move on to the next order of business entitled Consent. Consent, do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a motion and a second. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Chaplin.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Covert.
Aye.
Desart.
Aye.
DeCiani. Eckhoff. Garcia.
Aye.
Hart. Krajewski.
Aye.
LaPlante. Ozog.
Aye.
Pachowski. Renahan. Rutledge. Schwarzy.
Aye.
Selman. Tornatore.
Aye.
Anze.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. On to the order of County Board in Member Salmon's absence, Member Chaplin.
Thank you, Chairman. I move to approve CBR 026921 resolution appointment of John J. Fennell to the Yorkfield Fire District.
And a motion and a second. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Chaplin.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Covert.
Aye.
Desart.
Aye.
DeCiani. Eckhoff. Garcia.
Aye.
Hart. Krajewski.
Aye.
LaPlante. Ozog.
Aye.
Pachowski. Renahan. Rutledge. Schwarzy.
Aye.
Selman. Tornatore.
Aye.
Anze.
Aye.
Thanks, Mr. Clerk. Member Chaplin.
Thank you, Chairman. I move approval of item B, CBR 027021 resolution appointment of Robert F. Nogan to the Roselle Fire Protection District.
Second most favorable rule.
Request for leave.
Leave.
Is granted. Okay, that concludes our business, I think, right, Member Chaplin? On the order of County Board, we move right into Finance. Member Chaplin.
Thank you, Chairman. I move approval of FIR 027121 resolution placing names on payroll.
Second. Garcia.
And a motion and a second. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Chaplin.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Covert.
Aye.
Desart.
Aye.
DeCiani. Eckhoff. Garcia.
Aye.
Hart. Krajewski.
Aye.
LaPlante. Ozog.
Aye.
Pachowski. Renahan. Rutledge.
Aye.
Schwarzy.
Aye.
Selman. Tornatore.
Aye.
Anze.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Thank you, Member Chaplin.
Oh, I have one more.
Oh, please.
Oh,
Sorry.
I move approval of item B, FIR 027221 resolution budget transfers May 11, 2021 from various companies and accounting units.
Leave.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Chaplin. On to the order of development, Member Sam Tornatore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move approval of DCO 34-21, ordinance C21-001 King. This is a zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve a variation to reduce a west side yard setback from 20 feet to approximately 5 feet for a new parking lot, and a variation to reduce the south front yard setback from 40 feet to approximately 20 feet.
Second.
And a motion and a second. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Tornatori.
Aye.
Zay.
Aye.
Chaplin.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Covert.
Aye.
Desart.
Aye.
DeCiani. Eckhoff. Garcia.
Aye.
Hart. Krajewski.
Aye.
LaPlante.
Aye.
Ozog.
Aye.
Pachowski. Renahan. Rutledge.
Aye.
Schwarzy.
Aye.
And Selman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Member Tornatori.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move approval of DCO 35-21, ordinance Z2112 Quigley. This is a zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve a conditional use to increase the total permitted square feet of detached accessory buildings from 779 square feet to approximately 927 square feet for a new shed.
Second.
And a
Most
motion.
favorable rule.
Leave is granted. Mr. Tornatori.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Finally, I move to approve DCO 36-21, ordinance C2114 Nair. This is also a zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve a conditional use to substitute a pea gravel driveway for a paved surface.
Second most favorable rule.
Leave.
Leave is granted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Tornatori. On to the order of Health and Human Services, Member Renahan.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for your comments regarding the rental assistance program. I know Mary Keating and her team has worked so very hard to activate this program. We have about $18 million going out for DuPage residents. I think we're going to help a lot of people here, so kudos to her and her staff. I'd also like Janelle Chadwick also reports they are doing a big celebration of Nurses Week over at the Care Center, so we're grateful to have our nurses and hardworking staff to take care of our vulnerable residents over there. So with that, I will move approval of HHS R24621, recommendation for approval of Community Development Block Grant Project recommendations for substantial Amendment 5 to Action Plan for Home and CDBG funds related to coronavirus.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Renahan.
Aye.
Rutledge.
Aye.
Schwarzy.
Aye.
Selman. Tornatori.
Aye.
Zay.
Aye.
Chaplin.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Covert.
Aye.
Desart.
Aye.
DeCiani. Eckhoff. Garcia.
Aye.
Hart. Krajewski.
Aye.
LaPlante.
Aye.
Ozog.
Aye.
And Pachowski.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Member Renahan.
I move approval of HHSR 26621, resolution DuPage County Ride DuPage program.
Second most favorable rule.
Leave.
Leave is granted. Member Renahan.
Move approval HHSP 10421, a contract purchase order with McKesson Medical Surgical Government Solutions for the Care Center, June 1st, 2021 to May 31st, 2022, not to exceed $195,000.
Second most favorable rule.
Leave is granted. Member
Move
Renahan.
approval of HHSP 10521, contract with United Pharmacy Staffing, supplemental staffing for the Pharmacy Department Care Center, May 14, 2021, May 13, 2022, not to exceed $50,000. Move approval HHSP 10821, Amerisource Bergen Drug Corporation, again with the Care Center, pharmaceuticals for inpatient and outpatient pharmacy, June 25th, 2021 to June 24th, 2022, not to exceed $2.4 million.
Second most favorable rule.
Leave.
And I move approval of
Wait,
HHS.
wait, slow down just a tad. So, yeah, leave is granted. Make sure you get the proper documentation. We'll look at the minutes and want to make sure things proceed.
Gotcha. All right. Finally, I move approval HHSP 10921, contract purchase order to Cisco Chicago for primary food supplies and chemicals for the Care Center dining services, JJK administration, and judicial office facility, cafe, June 1st, 2021 to May 31st, 2022, not to exceed $1,152,570.
Second most favorable rule.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Renahan. A fine report. On to Judicial Public Safety, Member Renahan.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to mention to everyone, it is National Police Week, so it is time to honor law enforcement and their service, particularly those who've lost their life in sacrifice of duty. So I'd like to thank the sheriff and all his staff for all they do. I think I speak for all of us in that, and I understand they are having some sort of a private ceremony this week to commemorate lost policemen. So with that, I will move approval of JPSP 10321, renewal contract purchase order to HOV Services to provide professional consultation, technical assistance with application systems, June 1, 2021 through May 31st, 2022 for the circuit court clerk, not to exceed $723,699.37.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. I have Member Eckhoff seeking recognition for purposes of discussion.
I had a short question. This is a really good program that the clerk's office has been engaged in for a long period of time. When I read the memo, it looks like we're trying to copy records that go back to the beginning of last century, and I'm just wondering if anybody has an estimate as to how long that's going to take. If anybody from the clerk's office is on the line. It looks like it took 10 years to, it looks like it took about 5 years to do the last 10 years.
About 100 years.
Yeah.
This is Candace Adams. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. We're unsure as how long it's going to take. We are actually looking at some other sources right now to see how we can move some of our books off-site to the Illinois State Archives, and that may help with some of the imaging and doing that free of charge, but it's going to take a number of years to get all the images fully copied into our system. There's millions and millions of documents, and I invite you all to come look at them because they're quite impressive to see here at the courthouse.
Yeah, it looked like you've already done about over 2.5 million, and it looks like there's another 16 million to go, so.
Yeah, we have records that date, back to the Civil War, so we have a long way to go here.
Thank you.
Good question, Mr. Eckhoff. Any further discussion?
Chairman?
Forgive me, I'm sorry. Oh, Member Nassar, yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask, since the clerk is on, I wanted to ask Candace, are you going to be keeping some of those documents? Because I was over there in archives last year, the year before, and visited some of those old archives from like the Civil War, and they're really neat artifacts. Are we going to be keeping some of those, or getting rid of all of it?
So it's really going to depend on what the Illinois State Archives are willing to take. They have limited space. They're going to be close in DeKalb, so about an hour drive away to see them. We will certainly have images of all of them here on site, so that you will be able to view them.
All right, thank you. And I would invite all my fellow board members to go over and take a look at those really old artifacts while they're there. There's like a divorce certificate where a woman wants to divorce her husband and her father will give him a horse to divorce her, and just really neat old things like that. If you're a history buff like I am, it's a really neat place to visit. Thank you.
Further discussion, Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to say that I think from a technological standpoint, I'm happy to see this happening to give better access to our citizens to get the records that they need. I have dealt with the duct system before. It's not easy to get what you're trying to get out of the system. So I want to commend our clerk and Julie for their efforts on this, because we owe this to the taxpayers to be able to easily access those records. Thank you.
Okay. Doesn't appear to be any further discussion. Anyone else seeking recognition? Member Renahan, you've made a motion and there's been a second. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Renahan.
Aye.
Rutledge.
Aye.
Schwarzy.
Aye.
Selman. Tornatori.
Aye.
Zay.
Aye.
Chaplin.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Covert.
Aye.
Desart.
Aye.
DeCiani. DeCiani.
Walker.
Eckhoff. Garcia.
Aye.
Hart. Krajewski.
Aye.
LaPlante.
Aye.
Ozog.
Aye.
And Pachowski.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Thank you, Member Renahan. On to the order of Public Works, Member Ozog.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for approval of item A, PWR 026721, recommendation for approval to grant signature authority to the Director of Public Works for for amounts less than $15,000 to acquire necessary property interests for public works projects.
Been a motion and a second. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Ozog.
Yes.
Pachowski. Renahan. Rutledge.
Aye.
Schwarzy.
Aye.
Selman. Tornatore.
Aye.
Zay.
Aye.
Chaplin.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Covert.
Aye.
Desart.
Aye.
DeCiani. Eckhoff. Garcia.
Aye.
Hart. Krajewski.
Aye.
And LaPlante.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Member Ozog.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for approval of item B, FMP 010721, recommendation for the approval of a contract to C. Armbrust Plumbing and Heating Incorporated to provide time and material plumbing services as needed for county facilities for the period May 15, 2021 through May 14, 2022. For facilities management for a contract total amount not to exceed $50,000 per renewal option under bid award 1939 FM, second option to renew.
There's been a motion and a second. A request for leave. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Been a motion and a second. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. Pete.
Ozog.
Yes.
Pachowski. Renahan. Rutledge. Schwarzy.
Aye.
Selman. Tornatore.
Aye.
Zay.
Aye.
Chaplin.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Covert.
Aye.
Desart.
Aye.
DeCiani. Eckhoff. Garcia.
Aye.
Hart. Krajewski.
Aye.
And LaPlante.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Member Ozog.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for approval of PWP 010621, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Visit Sewer of Illinois, LLC for CIPP sanitary sewer lining for public works for the period May 11, 2021 through November 30th, 2021 for a total amount not to exceed $241,780 per lowest responsible bid.
There's been a motion and a second. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Ozog.
Yes.
Pachowski. Renahan. Rutledge.
Aye.
Schwarzy.
Aye.
Selman. Tornatore.
Aye.
Zay.
Aye.
Chaplin.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Covert.
Aye.
Desart.
Aye.
DeCiani. Eckhoff. Garcia.
Aye.
Hart. Krajewski.
Aye.
And LaPlante.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Thank you, Member Ozog. On to the order of stormwater. Member Jim Zay.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I move on SMR 25921, intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and Wheaton Sanitary District for Springbrook Stream Bank stabilization, the amount not to exceed $54,099.34.
Second to start.
And a motion and a second for the Springbrook Stream Bank stabilization. Say that 10 times fast. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Zay.
Aye.
Chaplin.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Covert.
Aye.
Desart.
Aye.
DeCiani. Eckhoff. Garcia.
Aye.
Hart. Krajewski.
Aye.
LaPlante. Ozog.
Aye.
Pachowski. Renahan. Rutledge.
Aye.
Schwarzy.
Aye.
Selman. And Tornatore.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Member Zay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move on SMR 26021, intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and Carroll Stream Park District for Armstrong Park North Parking Lot Permeable Paver Project, the amount of $40,395.67.
Second most favorable roll to start.
Leave is granted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move on SMR 26221, recommendation for approval of modification 1 to the interdepartmental memorandum of understanding for HUD funding of the Elmhurst Quarry Sluice Gate installation project.
Second most favorable roll to start.
Leave.
There's a request for leave. Leave is granted. Member Zay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to combine items D, E, and F. These are all acceptance of temporary and permanent construction easements.
Motion to combine D, E, and F. Is there a second? Seconded the motion.
Most favorable, second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nay. The ayes have it. The items are combined. Please proceed, Mr. Zay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move on SMR 26521, Acceptance of temporary easement, Stanek, $1. SMR 26321, acceptance of temporary construction easement, Carbrello, $1. And SMR 26421, acceptance of permanent drain easement, Stark, $1.
Second, Desart.
Been a motion and a second. Mr. Clerk, will we entertain a motion to adopt the
Leave.
No?
Favorable.
All right.
Second most favorable roll.
Leave is granted. Mr. Zay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move on SMR 26121, recommendation of approval for grant signature authority for the Director of Stormwater Management for amounts less than $15,000 to acquire necessary property interest for stormwater management projects.
Leave.
Leave is granted. Well, we can't do that. Yeah, we have to.
Oh.
So we had a member leave the room, and we want to make sure that we do things properly here at all times. So there's been a motion and a second. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Zay.
Aye.
Chaplin.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Covert.
Aye.
Desart.
Aye.
DeCiani. Eckhoff. Garcia.
Aye.
Hart. Krajewski.
Aye.
LaPlante.
Aye.
Ozog.
Aye.
Chowski. Renahan. Rutledge. Schwarzy.
Aye.
Selman. And Tornatore.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Zay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move on SMP 121, agreement with Alfred Benish Company for professional land surveying services in the amount of $30,000.
Been a motion and a second. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Zay.
Aye.
Chaplin.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Covert.
Aye.
Desart.
Aye.
DeCiani. Eckhoff. Garcia.
Aye.
Hart. Krajewski.
Aye.
LaPlante.
Aye.
Ozog.
Aye.
Chowski. Renahan. Rutledge. Schwarzy.
Aye.
Selman. And Tornatore.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Zay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move on SMP 10121, recommendation approval contract issued to WBK Engineering for on-call professional engineering services, the amount not to exceed $75,000.
Second, most favorable roll. Desart.
Leave is granted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move on SMP 10221, recommendation for approval of contract issued to Runyon Equipment Company for crane truck repairs, the amount of $52,634.51.
Second, most favorable roll. Desart.
Leave.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Mr. Zay. A fine
Thank you,
report.
Mr. Chairman.
A fine report. On to the order of transportation, member Don Pachowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. I would move to approve DTR 26821, an intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and Milton Township Road District for the 2021 road maintenance program for an estimated township cost of $640,000.
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Chowski.
Aye.
Renahan. Rutledge.
Aye.
Schwarzy.
Aye.
Selman. Tornatore.
Aye.
Zay.
Aye.
Chaplin.
Aye.
Chavez.
Aye.
Covert.
Aye.
Desart.
Aye.
DeCiani. Eckhoff. Garcia.
Aye.
Hart. Krajewski.
Aye.
LaPlante.
Aye.
And Ozog.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Pachowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move to approve DTP 110-21, a contract to Northern Contracting Inc. to furnish, deliver, repair, and install guardrails as needed for the Department of Transportation for an amount not to exceed $100,000 per lowest bid.
Leave.
Leave is granted. Mr. Pachowski.
Move to approve DTP 111-21, a contract to BCR Automotive Group LLC, DBA Rochefort, to furnish and deliver Ford/Motorcraft repair and replacement parts as needed, not to exceed $70,000.
Leave.
Leave is granted.
Move to approve DTP 112-21, a contract to Utility Transport Service, Inc. for solid waste disposal, street sweepings and storm sewer and ditching spoils as needed, not to exceed $60,000.
Leave.
Leave is granted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move to approve amendment to DTP 239B-20 issued to BLA Inc. to provide professional consulting engineering services to correct a Scrivener's error.
Leave is granted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Finally, move to approve DTP 119-828, amendment to a resolution issued to Precise MRM LLC for fleet tracking equipment and service equipment for a contract of $49,495, an increase of 15.67%.
Leave is granted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pachowski, a fine report. That concludes our committee reports. Now we move into the order of business entitled Old Business.
Karen?
Business. Yes, please. Member Desart seeking recognition.
Thank you, Chairman. I wanted to make these comments when our Executive Director of the Health Department, Karen Ayala, was still in the room. But I was on medication and I wasn't allowed to get a vaccine until 2 weeks after I was off the medication. Different story. But I just wanted to say that I went and got my first vaccination at the DuPage County Fairgrounds on Saturday, and it could not have moved more smoothly. There were no lines. There were plenty of socially distanced chairs, so people could wait in chairs if they wanted to, but nobody was waiting. It was in and out, and I just kudos to Karen Ayala and the whole DuPage County Health Department for such a smooth operation. It couldn't have been better. So congratulations to Karen for setting that up and her leadership on the vaccination. Thank you.
Very good, Member Desart. I think Mr. Eckhoff is seeking recognition, followed by Mr. Hart.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to make a comment regarding...
Yes.
Can I go?
Yeah, please. I'm sorry.
The Mental Health Awareness Week. Over the last election, in Milton Township, they passed another referendum establishing the 708 board that is to work through the township in order to effectuate additional mental health treatment. And I think the way I admire the push for additional mental health treatment and the funding for that, but I think the creation of these 708 boards, there's another one in Bloomingdale, and I suspect there'll be a push to push them in the other townships in DuPage County, is the exact opposite way we should be going. I've been a big proponent, as I know the chairman has been, of consolidation of government, and this is going in the exact wrong direction by creating more units of government. And I think the way to go is to push for additional funding through our health department, which has got an excellent mental health facility. And I ran outside after Karen was done and asked her about that, and she seemed open to that ideas. So I would offer with Ms. Garcia to work with Karen Ayala and try and get the 708 funding to go to our health department, as opposed to setting up 9 more units of government, all of which are going to have to be managed individually. I would like the money to go to our health department to further fully expand mental health treatment instead of setting up 9 new boards. So maybe we can talk about that later.
Okay. Further discussion, Member Hart, followed by Member Deacon Garcia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. 2 things. I just wanted to echo Member Desart's comments, and thanks to Karen Ayala for the health department's work at the vaccine site. I've gotten outreach from 5 constituents in the last week that had an opportunity to go there and said that the process couldn't have worked more smoothly. So once again, our health department is doing this proud, and I just want to thank them for all of their strenuous efforts. I also want to thank all the board members and the public for their promotion of Giving DuPage Days, which, as we know, ended on April 30th. And the event couldn't have been more successful. We had over 2,800 individual donors that raised just under $393,000, which is a really incredible feat. 61% of those donations came from within DuPage County. So really wanted to thank everyone for their help with that. Also want to give a special shout out to DuPage Animal Friends, which raised $51,000 individually for their organization. But again, appreciate everyone's help and support, and I also wanted to just individually thank Shafali, our very own Shafali, for all of her work. This wouldn't have been possible without her. So thank you.
Yeah, that's great. She's great. Member Deacon Garcia.
Thank you. I've kind of got 2 and now 3 questions or 3 comments. I know on the payment list, and I meant to bring that up, but I went so quickly I didn't, but there was like $50 payments to all the election facilities, I believe, and I'm just wondering what the $50 is for, so if I can get clarification on that, because it seems like a really low amount to actually be renting something for. So if we can get some more, I know Member Desart was getting information, and she found out after the meeting was almost over, so I appreciate that. Thank you to Member Desart. And I just wanted to get more information because I just can't figure out what the $50 is for. It wouldn't even pay for their janitor, I don't think. So, and then the second question, the noon event tomorrow being held by the sheriff says private event, but it's something that I personally would like to attend. as a county board member, is that something I can attend? I'm just not quite sure what the rules and regulations are since it's on county property. But I certainly want to show my support for all the police officers. So if I can get information on that. And then, Member Eckhoff, I would love to have a discussion with you on the 708 boards. I have actually attended many workshops on it. I'm on the pro side of it right now, but I would love to hear your side of it and see what's going on. But I'm actually, was quite for it and happy when it actually passed. So but if you want to give me your side, I would love to hear it one time. So I'd love to have that conversation. So that's it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Member Krajewski seeks recognition.
Thank you, Chairman. And again, I want to thank Shivali for the Giving DuPage and to pick up what Member Hart stated. DuPage Animal Friends, we started out with the organization that funds us with a goal of $25,000, and after 2 days, they had done so well, they had an announcement that they raised their goal to $50,000, and they did raise $51,377, which was phenomenal, which helped support us. We were notified yesterday that we had an anonymous donor who was so impressed with the work that DuPage Animal Friends did in setting their goal at $50,000 that they are giving us another $50,000 donation as an anonymous donation. So it'll put it over $100,000 for DuPage Animal Friends. So that was nice of this anonymous donor to match the $50,000 goal.
That's nice, very nice. Member Ozog.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to express my support of the 708 Milton Township Mental Health Board, which was recently approved by the voters of Milton Township. And I have spoken to the newly elected Milton Township supervisor and expect to be working and plan to be working with him as we institute how this is going to work. And I'm just delighted for Milton Township. It passed by a narrow margin, but it did pass, and I fully support this effort. And I hope to see more of these in DuPage County. Thank you.
Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chairman. Excellent news from Mr. Krajewski about the match donation anonymously. And that's a good thing because I read a report this morning that all of those shelter animals that got adopted during COVID are now being pushed back to the shelters as they return to work. So unfortunately, what was really one of the pluses of COVID is now going to put an increased burden on our animal services. So these funds are very welcome. Thank you.
Okay, is anyone else seeking? Member Covert, Sadia Covert.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm just going to lower my hand here. Okay. I just wanted to announce that tomorrow, possibly tomorrow, depending on the moon sighting, billions of Muslims around the world will be celebrating the end of Ramadan, which is called Eid. It's like the Muslim Christmas. And I really want to attend. I would like to attend the Police Week Memorial event tomorrow as well, but I may not be able to if it is Eid tomorrow. But I will definitely be there in spirit. And then also I wanted to announce that next month, we are going to have our first ad hoc committee meeting for diversity and inclusion, and its implementation. And co-chair Amy Chavez and I are going to have our first kickoff meeting. We are planning lots of great things to put our diversity and inclusion imperative into action and implement that fully at the county. So we are excited to have board members that are a part of this meeting to attend and get the ball rolling. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you, Member Covert. Anyone else seeking recognition on the order of old business?
I think under Sheriff Moore was raising his hand.
Oh, all right. I didn't see that. Typically, we don't recognize people that are not members of the board, but for Deputy Sheriff Moore, of course, we will make sure that we recognize on this order of business. Deputy Sheriff Moore, any more, would you please? Wasn't me, was it? All right, sorry about that. Yeah, so I suspect he was seeking recognition to provide information about this memorial service, and so I'm going to take the liberty of suggesting that the sheriff share information about this event, because I think everyone would like to participate and show their respect for families of fallen soldiers or fallen first responders and police officers, and so I as well am interested. So please, that concludes our discussion on matters dealing with old business. We move to the next order of business entitled New Business. New Business. Member Chaplin.
Well, thank you, Chairman. So just a couple comments. First of all, I would like to thank Nick Kottmeyer, Keith Briggs, Tim Harbaugh, and I don't know Jeff's last name. Jeff Mastiff, for all of their help with the John Lewis Day of Action event that was held on May 8th. We had it right here. The end of the event was right here at the county campus. Nick and Keith, Tim and Jeff, I mean, they thought of everything. We went over the plans, went over the parking lot, traffic flow, setup of equipment. They just did everything, and they were just so nice to work with. So again, I can't thank them enough for all their help. The event was hugely successful. The voter came, we had about 200 cars in Warrenville, and then we had about 89 come over to our DuPage County campus. So I would also like to thank members Garcia, Renahan, Rutledge, and Schwarzy for also attending the event. And I would also like to thank all the nurses over at the Convalescent Center as well for their work for Nurses Week last week. You know, it's been an especially difficult time for people in healthcare. And, you know, I just saw on the news last week how nurses are leaving the field rapidly. So I really, you know, just want to express my thanks to all of the nurses and the CNAs over at the the CARES, what do we call that now? The CARE Center for all the hard work and efforts that they do. One last thing, and I also did get my vaccination at the DuPage County Health Clinic over here at the fairgrounds, and it was so easy, and everybody was so nice, especially for people that are hesitant to get the vaccine. I know people are anxious, and everybody at that facility does their best to keep you calm, they talk to you, they keep your mind off, you know, the time while you're waiting. So it really is a great facility, and especially for those that are a little bit hesitant, I would recommend getting your vaccination there.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion on the order of new business. Member DeCiani, followed by Member Rutledge, followed by Member Chavez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today at 2 o'clock in legislative, I'll be pushing two bills, House Bill 40 and House Bill 2748. And Chairwoman Dessart was kind enough to put these on her agenda for discussion. These are bills that are very important for people with special needs. These are bills that will, one bill will actually give people who are in transition, these are young adults that are between 18 and 21, and many of which have dealt with COVID at home with no therapy, no accommodations. Basically, he had a year of nothing. It will accommodate those kids and their families an extra year of transition. This is a big bill for families because we call this the black hole. As a parent, you know, the handoff to society from our school system is at age 22. Unfortunately, with COVID, it's really put a tough challenge on those with special needs. So that bill is House Bill 2748, and then also House Bill 40. And the reason why I had to step out was because the chief sponsor called me, Representative Kelly Burke, a Democrat from the South Side, is also up in the Senate Education Committee today at 1 o'clock. That bill will, and it's been a bill we've been fighting on for many years. If you have a birthday, say in November, and you're turning 22, your IEP, your transition stops that day of your birthday. This bill would actually allow you to finish the year as a normal kid. And so again, these are important bills. They do have bipartisan support. And they also have accommodations from federal funding that will help pay for these bills. So some of the school districts, unfortunately, are against these bills because of costs. They feel that they're unfunded, but there's CARES dollars, there's separate dollars from the Fed Recovery Act for COVID that will be useful for this. So that'll be explained today at 1 o'clock in the committee. The sponsors are very aggressive. I want to get these bills passed. I'm asking this board to support these bills. It's important for our kids and for these families, and especially families of minority, because they are really in a bind. And the black hole, if you hand them off too early, could be a devastating one. So that extra year and the ability to finish the school year are important things. So I appreciate everybody's support for these. Thank you.
Member Rutledge?
Thank you so much, Chairman. A couple comments today, and one prompted by Member Chapman's comments about the nurses leaving the industry. My son is a restaurant worker, has been all through COVID, and we all have heard about the shortages in restaurant workers, and it's not, well, partly it is the only couple dollars an hour that they get in pay. But secondly, he tells me that the customer base has gotten progressively ruder as we've worked through COVID. They don't want to hear about, okay, you got to put a mask on from the door to your table, and it definitely affects his tips when it gets, when he has to ask people to mask up. So just giving that a mention so that we'll all have a little bit more sympathy for what restaurant workers are going through, and if we could all just take a step back and calm down a little bit. It's nothing personal, and that shouldn't impact their monthly income just because you don't like what it is they're tasked with asking you to do. So that's my number one comment. Second, as the environmental chairperson, I'd like to recognize people that are doing good. And the city of Bentonville has received the Governor's Hometown Award. That award formally recognizes communities that have improved the quality of life for their citizens and businesses. Projects must include strong volunteer support, meet a need, and have made a definitive impact. I'm pleased to share that the Village of Bentonville was awarded recognition this spring for its many green initiatives, including several that the county was partnering in. The village implemented various environmental programs and services in 2019 and 2020, such as cooking oil, holiday light tree recycling, drop-off events for household hazardous waste, pumpkin composting, and document shredding. The Village of Bentonville plans to continue its Green in Bentonville initiatives, including educating and promoting proper recycling habits, hosting events and finding new ways to recycle and compost as many materials as possible in an effort to reduce waste from landfills. And so I want to offer our congratulations to the Village of Bentonville, and please keep up the good work.
Very nice, thank you. Member Chavez?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to as well thank Karen Ayala and her team. As a mom of two 13-year-olds, I'm very, very excited to be getting them vaccinated, and I was able to jump online yesterday and get them some appointments. So they are scheduled within the next week, and I really want to encourage everyone in our community to do their same for their 12 plus. I know that our school had a recent quarantines where kids had to come home, and I think for us to really combat that, we've got to all get our kids signed up. So thank you for that. And then secondly, I just wanted to draw everyone's attention to the economic development, the restaurant relief funds that are federally available. Probably the best video that I've seen on that was done by Congresswoman Lauren Underwood's team, and it's currently on Facebook and on YouTube, but I just want to draw that attention to our restaurant owners.
Very nice, thank you. Anyone else seeking recognition on the order of new business? Member Dessart, yes.
Thank you, Chairman. On the order of new business, I would just like to let everybody know and invite everybody to the 2 o'clock Legislative Committee meeting. We will be having Congresswoman Lauren Underwood joining us, mostly to talk about the American Rescue Plan and the proposed infrastructure plan. So that's at 2 o'clock today. Join us for the Legislative Committee meeting, and you will see Congressman Underwood. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else with any other information or announcements seeking recognition on the order of new business? Member LaPlante, there she is.
Thank you so much, Chairman Cronin. I would just like to announce that today we're having our very first inaugural Ad Hoc Fine Arts Committee. I'm so excited. We have a bipartisan effort to support the arts in DuPage County. We're working with public-private partnerships with lots of different organizations from throughout DuPage County, including Choose DuPage, the DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau, Arts DuPage, DuPage Foundation, the Chicago Federation of Musicians, Orbert Davis and the Chicago Jazz Philharmonic, and Jim McGuire of the County Fairgrounds. We've got a wonderful group. We're all going to be putting our heads together, brainstorming, and having a lively roundtable discussion. It's at 3 p.m. today. You are all invited to watch or attend. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Member LaPlante, and thank you for your leadership on this issue. Anyone else seeking recognition on the order of new business? New business? Seeing none, hearing none. I believe this concludes our business today. We do not have any matter to come before us on the order of executive session, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting to Tuesday, May 25th at 10 a.m. Is there a motion? So moved by Member Rutledge, seconded by Member DeCiani. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.